Sometimes in life we need money, and we need it fast. For instance, you may need to spring for a plane ticket to watch your favourite band play one final time in concert, or to get your parents' car repaired to cover up your fondness for driving too close to the curb. Regardless of why we need the money, there's no refuting the fact that money will always play an integral role in our lives. However, when you need it in a pinch, what do you do? Well, besides robbing a bank, which I don't recommend, here's an approach you can take to save a lot of money in a short amount of time. If you've ever needed money in a pinch, you'll know that it's one of the worst and most vulnerable situations you can be in. In fact, there's a strange sense of helplessness that comes with being financially deficient, and I believe it stems from the fact that these days you truly need money for everything. Long gone are the days when you could rely on the good-heartedness of others to help you out, because chances are those you seek help from are in the same situation as yourself. In fact, recent 2021 reports show that still more than 50% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, so the chances anyone can truly help you is slim to none. Now, in a minute I'm going to share with you the quickest way to save a lot of money in a short amount of time, but what must be addressed is why someone would be lacking proper savings in the first place, which is, as you're probably aware, just about everyone these days. In fact, a 2021 study found that just 39% of Americans could pay for a $1,000 emergency expense, demonstrating that people's ability to save may be more impaired than you probably imagined. When it comes down to it, people's instability to save is the result of two reasons. First, many people aren't saving money due to the fact that they simply do not make enough money to save. Yes, this situation exists, and it's in part due to the fact that the federal American minimum wage has not increased in over a decade. Right now, over 1 million Americans are earning the federal minimum wage of $7.25, and when you're collecting $500 checks every 2 weeks, even meeting your basic living needs will be a challenge. However, even at higher income brackets, there is an ongoing struggle to get ahead. For instance, a 2021 survey found that 60% of millennials earning over $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck as cost of living continues to outpace workplace compensation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Those making $100,000 a year can't simply be struggling this much solely due to a rise in expense. And I'd agree that part of the issue is probably self-inflicted, which leads me to the second reason people find it hard to save. These days, many people lack the discipline or self-control that allows them to sidestep any spending temptation that comes their way. Maybe they're in a bad relationship and need to shop to get over their recent fight, or maybe they feel insecure if they don't wear a new suit to the office every week. The point is that there are a ton of people spending quicker than the money is coming in, and when this happens, we see those sad statistics I just shared getting even worse year over year. If you know someone who spends way more than they earn, go ahead and gently tap that like button below. So this is all to say that yes, people need to start saving more money. The problem is, however, that most people go about it in the wrong way. There's still a very large belief in the general public that if you simply cut out a coffee here and there, that in the future you will be rolling in more money than you could ever dream of. Well, this notion is complete bullshit. The only thing you gain from cutting out a coffee a day is a headache from your caffeine withdrawal, which I would gladly pay to avoid. If you want to save a lot of money in a short amount of time, it will require you to deploy two important steps, with the first being the review and modification of your core 3 expenses, commonly referred to as the Big 3. Your housing, transportation, and food expenses are those that for most people take up 70% of their money every month. And while they are punishing your ability to save, they also present you with the best opportunities for doing so. Starting with the expense that's the easiest to modify to start saving a ton of money quickly, we have your food and entertainment costs. As you're probably aware, those nights out at the bar and dinners you post on Instagram aren't cheap, and the numbers support this fact. For instance, Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the average American spends roughly $250 a month on entertainment. So, depending on how much you go out and how much you are looking to save, this can be a great place to start. Moreover, the average American spends just under $300 a month going out to restaurants or ordering in, which brings us to over $500 in savings simply by making these two easy cost reductions. Next, we have transportation. Now, if you ask me, this is really where the committed savers and those who just kind of want to save more money are distinguished. You see, transportation costs, at their core, are expenses of convenience. We all know that we could get to most of the places we drive to by bus, but most of us opt to have cars anyway. While I would argue that saving time driving versus busing is definitely a factor to consider in your overall quality of life, there's no doubting the fact that hopping on a local transit is much cheaper than having your own vehicle. But how much cheaper, you may be wondering? Let's look into that right now. When you factor in costs like car payments, gas, maintenance, insurance and the like, owning a car every month can easily cost you upwards of $1,000. Now, compare this to the average monthly transit costs in the United States of $67, and you can see that you could easily be saving hundreds of dollars a month by throwing it back to your school days and frequenting the bus. So far, I've demonstrated how the average person can save themselves over $1,000 a month in a short amount of time with just a few easy lifestyle modifications. Now, the final element in your big three cost-cutting strategy will admittedly take a bit more time and effort to pull off. But since we are already on the topic of you saving a ton more money, we may as well briefly go over how housing plays into your money-saving plan. When it comes to housing, there are generally two ways to lower your costs, and the first is downsizing. Downsizing the place you rent or own can easily save you a couple $100s on rent or mortgage payments every month. For example, in my city, the average one-bedroom rents for $1,650 a month, whereas a studio is $1,400, so making that downsizing alone could be $250 a month in your pocket. And in the same way, when you're a homeowner, downsizing can save you hundreds a month if your mortgage goes from, let's say, $1,200 to $1,000. However, I know that as a homeowner, downsizing is a nuisance, and if you do sell your home, you will incur substantial reality costs as well, which is why you may decide to change your approach and consider renting a room instead. It would be pretty hard to not rent a room for $500, and doing so is an easy way to pad your savings account further. Now, if saving you over $1,000 in the next month isn't enough, then let me share with you what will surely take your savings over the top. You see, the secret to saving more money isn't in cutting costs. As you know, you will always have some costs to attend to. That is, unless you decide to move back into your parents' basement and live the rest of your life as a hermit. As much as your mum probably wants this, I doubt you do. Which is why, if you want to start to see your savings account growing exponentially, you need to go on the offensive and start making more money. In my opinion, there are really two approaches you can take to making more money, which will ultimately lead to you saving more too if you manage it properly. The two options generally present themselves as either low or high-hanging fruit opportunities. Low-hanging fruit opportunities are those that are easily accessible and offer you the ability to start making money right away. Examples include picking up a part-time job or working a side hustle. These are good options if you need cash now, but offer a lot less value in the long term because of their income-generating limitations. On the contrary, there are high-hanging opportunities. These come in the form of starting and running side businesses or offering a high-income skill to the open market. Generally, starting to make more money in these ways takes more time than their low-hanging fruit counterparts, but their long-term returns tend to be worth the extra effort. Personally, if you have the time, I would recommend you plant some seeds in both of these areas. However, for those really trying to save more money in the shortest time frame possible, combining a few low-hanging fruit opportunities is probably your best bet. Now, the bigger question we must answer here is, what do you do after all your immediate financial needs are met? At this point, it would be safe to assume that not only will your routine expenses be streamlined, but you will also have cultivated new streams of income that will be lining your bank account monthly. The next step is to exponentially grow those savings so that you never have to find yourself in a pinch for money ever again. Here's a two-step plan you can use to do just that. First, continue saving to a point where you have a year's worth of expenses set aside. By doing so, you will be able to handle any unexpected expenses or seize a financial opportunity that you could never have foreseen coming your way. The next step is to funnel the rest of that excess cash in your investments. While there are a ton of investment options out there, the investments you decide to pursue should be aligned to two specific things which are your goals and area of expertise. For instance, if you aim to eventually live off dividend income one day, then it doesn't make sense to invest in a cryptocurrency that has the potential to double in the next year. Alternatively, if you do find investments that pique your interest and appear to be aligned with how you want to proceed financially, then it's a question of whether you know how to operate in that space. For instance, you may want to see your portfolio grow at the fastest rate possible through investing in tech stocks. But do you even have the slightest clue to what these technologies do or what the companies that make them are all about? Remember, a fool and his money are soon parted, and by gaining an intimate understanding of what you're investing in, you'll exponentially increase your chances of realizing investing success en route to much greater levels of wealth. Now that you know how to save a lot of money, check out this video right here where I go to the exact steps you can take to build your wealth exponentially. Click on over and let's get started.